Hello, and welcome to the Astral Tourist, broadcasting live from planet Earth. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Yes, I have more astral projection experiences to report. Yay! Well, I hope everybody's been having a good week. Like I said, I'll be having more and more and more experiences now that I'm sleeping better and I'm more comfortable. And this Pleiadians help me out with that big energy boost. And even if you don't believe in that stuff, that's fine with me. If you think it's all dreams, that's fine with me. Each to their own belief systems. If you're enjoying the channel, though, for whatever reason, please do like and subscribe. Maybe a link somewhere would be helpful for me to help grow the channel. I do have a Patreon as well, but right now I just have a few donation buttons in the shop. If you have ideas for memberships other than like early episodes, please let me know. Early episodes don't really work that well for me, especially when I'm just trying to get the experiences down already because they keep coming in and I'm always having more and more and more, especially through autumn, winter, and spring. Not summer so much. So, let me know like if I can do like a private channel in there maybe or something else, if people wanna talk about astral projection in more in depth. So, also I'll be doing like a Q&A at some point. And if you have a question, go ahead and post it. Otherwise, I'm just going to take some off of Reddit or Facebook or something and do some random ones that people ask a lot. Okay, so for last night, I just immediately phased into the backyard. So, for those that have been listening to me for quite a while, you already know that I have this system where I do a target locale out over the lake that's quite a distance from where I live, but not super far. And I do that on purpose because if I only go to my backyard, I sometimes, even there, will still get pulled back in. So, I'm always recommending to people to get a bit further out, use a target locale further out, but not super far. Make it something realistic, like a tree that you love, the top of a building you love, a natural place like a lake, an ocean, beach, or something, but also in the air. You want to like aim to be in the air. More stuff can kind of um, distract you on the ground at first, especially if you're a beginner. So anyway, you won't always get to your target locale. Sometimes you land closer. Like sometimes I just plop out next to my bed, even though I'm using the target locale method. And other times, there I am in the backyard, and I saw one of my neighbors astral projecting at the same time. And this is this one lady. She's such a wonderful lady. She has a beautiful soul. We're not best friends, and I'd kind of like to be better friends with her, actually. And of course, she doesn't know that I astral project. I don't tell anybody. I like being anonymous here online, and that works great for me. Um, a lot of people won't believe you, or they'll think you have, amazing dreams, and that's great, and they'll be cool with it, but still kind of in their back of their mind, they're like, I don't know about her. So I've never spoken to her about it at all. But she was out astral projecting, and she was just in the backyard, and she was looking in, and instead of her garage being on the other side of our complex where it usually is, it was there in the backyard. And I thought that was kinda cool, like, "What's going on here? What's she up to?" I was very curious. I was being a nosy neighbor, but she didn't seem to mind. She saw me, and she was saying hi to me and everything in the astral and giving me a big smile like, "Oh, it's you again." Um, Also, when I'm just, like, in the backyard anyway, I'll kinda do a little patrol around just to make sure that everything's good in the neighborhood, like a little guardian angel going around, and if there are any problems, I'll try to address them. But she wasn't having any problems. I mean, she was really happy, and she was working on something in her garage, and so I asked her what was going on, what's she up to back there? And, I'm doing this while at the same time in the back of my own mind, I'm thinking, "I hope I don't get pulled back for this, for staying around," but she's such a nice person, and I wanted to just chat with her, and even if I got pulled back. So she showed me she, brought me over to a particular position, and she had it kind of masked somehow, and she, like, pulled, like, this mask away, like plastic wrap, kind of, like an opaque plastic wrap. So she wasn't really hiding it, but she didn't want everyone to know what was going on back there anyway, and so when she opened it up and released her little whatever she was doing for protections, and it was gorgeous. It turned into, like, this beautiful garage-sized greenhouse full of roses. She had, like, this whole rose garden greenhouse going on with all different roses in there. So beautiful, all different kinds, like small ones, large ones, the standard ones you see in pictures, plus all of these others with little spirals and things. I mean, this lady is artistic to the max. Oh my gosh. I always kind of suspected that she was kind of an artist at heart, but she's never shown me any work. So, I was just kind of flabbergasted in a good way. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so great. Thank you so much for showing me." And there was all this beautiful light in there. And so at this point, I'll take the opportunity to share that when you create things in the astral, they tend to degrade, so the fact that it was looking this good meant that she was spending months on this in the astral world. Months and months, and with regular maintenance. You have to keep adding energy to things in the astral if you want them to stick. So for her, this is a huge astral project, and everything was gleaming and glowing. I mean, she's gotta have just been out there every night for months in the astral working on this. So, wow, props to her. It was like, "Whoa." Okay, so moving on to the next astral projection. Okay, so I think I said that last one was from direct method. I just phased out into my backyard as I was falling asleep there. Kind of popped phased. I felt a little pop or something. It wasn't very loud this time. I really prefer the louder hypnagogia when I can get it, but oh well. At least I was aware enough that I got that far. So the rest of this is wake back to bed method. I got up, used the bathroom as usual. And one trick to doing that, which I know a lot of people won't wanna do, you won't wanna do it, but it works, is I drink a lot of water. Also, I kinda wake up about 3 times a night anyway, sometimes only twice, once if I'm really lucky. But I find I wanna drink the water anyway because then I can be sure to do wake back to bed, and I don't have to use an alarm that way. The only thing is I can't really control what time, like, sometimes I'll be up at, 3:30, other times 4:30, sometimes, like 5:15, and my normal wake-up time is usually right around 7:30, give or take an hour here or there on the other side. I don't like to sleep in too long because then I don't have enough time during the day to get work and stuff done, so, usually I'm airing around like, if I'm gonna wake up earlier, 6:30, 7:30 is about perfect for me, so, in the back of my brain, when I'm astral projecting, I always kind of have that 7:30 AM idea in mind, and I try to plan and time things that way. So, here's more about timing in the astral plane. In different dimensions, time works very differently, and you always kind of have to be aware of that. And, as a beginner, you won't be, and that's okay if you're a beginner. But as you get more advanced and you're learning how to shift and go through these dimensions, you'll become more and more and more aware of time and timing. And it's okay to ask others how it works where they are too. Um, so just something to be aware of. And this came up a little bit while I was astral projecting during the wake back to bed method. Um, I had a blackout phase, which I know a lot of astral projectors talk about, and in this case, it was a blackout phase, but I knew I was going into an astral projection. I could feel it, and I went into the blackout phase, and the next thing I know, I'm in this, huge astral city. It felt very familiar. I'm certain it's one I've been in before, and then I was talking with some friends at one of these, it wasn't a mall, it was more of a street market. And they wanted me to help them out at their Astral Cafe. So I'm gonna put this under jobs, even though this was more of a, volunteer thing, like, helping out a friend. And even though I don't remember their names, I know I've astral projected with these people before and interacted with them in the astral. Like all my astral spidey senses are telling me these are good people. These are some friends I have in the astral, and they just need a little help with out at their cafe. And so they sent me a telepathic image about where it was. I went there. I knew the streets already. So, yeah, definitely a city I'm familiar with. And as I was getting closer to the shop, and I knew I was going down some stairs, but only like 3 or 4, maybe 6 at the most. I'm not sure. It was one of those little alcove things where you walk down into a shop. It reminded me a lot of Portland. It might have been Portland, but I'm not sure. And as I was going down there, somebody telepathed to me from up in the street. I don't know who. It was not one of my friends. But they said as a warning that scuba is making trouble down there. Like beware, don't go in there. And sure enough, I don't know I didn't know who they were talking about, the scuba person. And why would somebody be named Scuba? It reminds me of scuba diving. But I was like, I became that little bit more lucid though, because I had the warning from I don't know who stranger up on the street. And so I was going down, I was already actually kind of down the stairs in this little alcove, right? There's like this cement wall to my right or back, depending on how you're looking at it, and the door to the shop. And I could hear all of these loud sounds going on in there, like somebody slamming pans around, throwing things at the walls. And so I was like, okay, this is why I got a warning. And so I'm standing there thinking about the timing, which I was just discussing, because in the astral, even 1 minute, it could be an hour. So if I was supposed to be in there helping out for an hour or a minute, my was waiting there for a minute or two could actually be like half a day in that dimension. And when people are trying to meet up or bring people into something like a cafe for food, you have to have the timing, kind of right. You can't be too far off or you're just going to miss each other in any dimension. And there's always that time difference to be aware of. So I was very aware of it. So I was standing, well, floating there, kind of essentially wondering, do I go in and confront this scuba person, or do I just wait for them to get over it and get out? Because I don't know, maybe they had um, already pre-planned time in that place. Maybe they're just, the end of their time and didn't know that their time was up, didn't know what was going on, lost lucidity. There are all of these things to factor in. Also, there's, the awareness that one can misunderstand things. Like maybe I'm not hearing pans clanging on the walls after all. Maybe it's like a really loud rock concert. I didn't think so. I mean, my spidey senses, astral spidey senses were telling me that this is somebody who's upset. They're slamming things around. So that's what I was going on for that. And just as I was standing there wondering, all right, I think I'm going to go in there. It's time to go in. Because if I wait too much longer, what's the point of my friends asking me for help? And just as I was about to like phase through the door, suddenly somebody's standing right next to me to my right shoulder. And so I look over and I could see this person really, really well. And no, I was not still on galantamine. I stopped taking that a few days ago. So I'm pretty sure the galantamine had completely worn off, but I could see this person really well. He had not wavy blonde hair, like straightish blonde hair, short, wearing a white shirt with buttons, and then the bottoms looked like just a pale color pajama pants. A little bit loose, but not too loose. And I didn't really see his floaty feet there. He was a little misty like me, though. His feet were kind of misty. And, I didn't see slippers, but I had the feeling like he had slippers on, and he's just standing there, and at first I was a little, perplexed because I didn't know if this was somebody coming in from the street to try and help me out or what was going on, so I just kind of observed him for a few moments, So I like decided to do a little mini read on him, just feeling out a little bit. And he looked a little bit pensive and shy. Like I was tuning into his facial features, kind of through his emotions. And I could tell like pensiveness, shyness, just standing there. I say standing, but floating there, observing me back. He said something to me which I cannot recall now, but I think he was just asking me about my day or my life or something like that, like, "Oh, hi. Hello." And I was observing him more, but there was more going on, like, at a feeling level, and then I was like, "Oh, you're a scuba, aren't you?" And he just, gave a further shy, pensive look and kind of eased back towards that concrete wall corner alcove we were both in, and then I was like, it's okay, I don't think you're that bad. We all have a day, and you were probably just getting it out." And at that, he really relaxed. He was like, "Oh, she understands, it's okay." And so I asked him if there was anything I could do to help make his day better, and he asked for a hug. And usually, touching is a big deal in the astral. I've covered this before, but I was willing to give him a hug. I figured, why not? He looks like he sure could use one. And so I did my best to give him my version of just a really warm, platonic, friendly hug, which is hard in the astral because you're all in like this misty energy form. You don't want it to be, like, too close because you don't want it to be, like, sexual, and it just gave him a warm, loving hug. We actually, like, were there for, I don't know, hugging for 30 seconds to a minute. I was just, like, loading him up with, you know, platonic, friendly love, and then I stopped hugging him, and he was fine with that, and he looked so not happy, not relieved, just more peaceful. That's what it was. He was more content. Some people, they just need some compassion, just a little understanding and compassion. And yeah, he was kind of pieced out. And then he said he was going to wander around the city, and I missed the rest of whatever he was going to do in the city. So this next part is where I actually go into this cafe, my friend's cafe. Oh, and he did tell me that he was just frustrated. So that just came back to mind just now. He was sharing about he had some various frustrations, hence all of the letting it out there in the cafe. So I phased through into the cafe, and there was a blonde lady in there, like with a ponytail. She was already there getting things set up. Um, And I asked her, "Well, what should I be doing?" The friends sent me, and what should I be doing? She said I could take orders and clean up the tables. I was looking around, the tables were pretty clean. This was all like just a kind of a metallic structure. I think it was Astral Club years ago that, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, was talking about how we can also observe the walls better and what things are made of. So a silvery metallic structure. Not really a 1950s style diner, but it had that vibe, even though it didn't have any of the pictures or anything. So that's what I got out of the structure. And the tables were just plain tables. So these two people came in, sat down. It was a man and a woman, and I went over to take their order. And then he was looking around, he was looking at me because I don't think he recognized me, and I sure did not recognize him. This is somebody I did not know. This is one of my friends, astral friends' friends. Um, and so he was looking at me, looking around again, like, I don't know how to do this with her." So taking an order in a cafe in the astral can actually be complex if it's a big order, and that's what this ended up being. So I tried to reassure him that I can take the order, just tell me how he wants to proceed and do it. And he was like, "It's not only a few things. Are you sure you can remember? Maybe you should get a paper and pad." And so at first I was like, "I can do it," but then I was like, "Oh, you want a big order." So we were, like, telepathing, and it was some of it was going by each of us, I think, but we finally figured it out. He had a big order. He wanted to make sure that somebody got it right. And so I said, "Okay, I'll get a pad." I knew that would make him feel better, and why not make sure? Anyway, for myself, I don't wanna get an order wrong, and, these are asshole friends of mine, even though I don't really remember them. I wanna do a good job here. So I looked around, another table had a pad sitting on it with a pen, so I got those. I floated over there while maintaining line of sight with him to make sure I would not lose lucidity. That's how tricky this stuff can be, especially if you're a little bit tired and you're not, like, charged up 100% fully. Maintain line of sight. That's another tip. Maintain line of sight with your objective, and you will last a lot longer. Okay? So I went over, got the pad while maintaining line of sight while using 360 vision, not fully on, but I had kind of had to gauge it. So I was like, had the panoramic on and having to do that. And I came back to him with a pad of paper. And of course, we all know, well, not everybody, but people who astral project regularly know writing in the astral is quite a feat. Quite a challenge. Letters come out differently and stuff, but he wanted me to use this method. So okay, I'm using this method. Got the pad, got the paper, came over back to him, and he began trying to order what he wanted and wanted me to put it on the pad. And that way the pad would remain if I phased out, woke up, etc. So this is a really important order for him. So the first thing he ordered was a steak. I got that telepathically, but he wanted a very particular kind, like a ribeye. And so I was trying to write it on the pad, and I got the R out and, like, drawing a picture of an eye, even though I was trying to spell the letters. The eye came out, and then he, like, was going on to the second thing, which was he said sockeye, which I know he's trying to say a specific type of meat again. And he showed me a picture of a steak with a big round bone in the middle of it, and that's the sockeye. And so I, like, did sock. I was actually able to write the letters sock out, SOCK, and then the I didn't come out, like, there was just kind of a line there, like a laser through the eye or something. I don't know what happened with that, but he thought it was good enough. I showed it to him. I was like, like this?" And he was nodding like that was good enough. And then he wanted filet, and wasn't sure if it was about a steak or a fish, and he said sole and showed me a picture of a fish. And on the paper, I got a large F out for filet, kind of in cursive. ILE, and all really wavy. This was all coming out wavy like the ocean. And I only got filet out, but because it was all wavy like the ocean, he said that was enough. I didn't have to do the soul part. Like, he figured whoever was, manifesting the food would understand the waviness meant fish, fillet of sole fish. Then there were these 2 other items. One had to do with a berry I totally did not understand. I don't know if he's talking about a berry from another universe or what. And then another one was creamy like cheesecake, but not cheesecake, like a layered fluffy thing. And so I was just trying to do pictures and things of those. And I was just telling him again, I wanna make sure I've done a really good job. Is this what you want? I kept showing him the pad with what I had managed, to write down, and he went on to explain the order was for later, which is why he wanted the pad. It wasn't for right now. And that he also said telepathically, like, if I got 3 out of 5 things, if they got the people making it got 3 out of 5 things right out of what I had written, that would be, like, way more than enough for his gathering party thing he was, planning for later. So this guy knows how to order in the astral plane, because this is kind of how you have to manage the timing. Remember the time shifting thing I was talking about? If you want something, that nice, you have to show up way early. You have to get somebody like me or somebody else that can do this and transfer the information to the person making the food, making whatever you want made in the astral. This all takes varying amounts of time. People might be experiencing time differently even. So he knew how to order. He was giving it plenty of time. He wanted me to use the pad, which was taking loads and loads of astral time. And the pad will persist. The information will be there. The order will be there. He knew what he was doing. And I was really impressed with this because not everybody does. Like, if you want something that specific, you really do have to plan it to that degree in the astral. And remember, things degrade over time in the astral. But I got the feeling like this was all going to work out. And the main deal for them was going to be getting their friends there at the right time after everything was kind of planned and made. And um, I got enough information onto the pad that they would have kind of at least close to what they were going for. I figure I did an, okay to good job there. Not necessarily excellent, but writing on a pad in the astral, oh my gosh, it's hard on a good day. So I'm calling that a good win scenario. I did my job. I don't know if I'll get paid by my friends, but I don't really expect to. That was like helping out friends. And I'm sure they've helped me out before too. Astral, in the astral, it's not always about getting paid. It's more about just exchange, trading energy. You help somebody out, they help you out later. And I like that about it. So, we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll take me somewhere fun some other time for helping out in their little restaurant, cafe thing. And if not, then not. I have a feeling like these people have been good to me. So, of course, I'm happy to help them out too. I don't know what was going on, but I didn't feel like I necessarily needed to know the whole thing that time. So, moving on to the astral games part of this, I was done there and I still had like plenty of energy. So, that lady told me that my job was done. I went back out into the city. I have like this blurry phase, so I don't know if I zoned out or what, but and I was talking to somebody about some games and they showed me that a couple of games they were playing. One was like on this handheld console, like a Nintendo. I don't know what it's called, Nintendo something where the console is in your hands and you have the little switches and things. And they gave it to me and they wanted me to play too. So I had this feeling like I was playing with them for a while, like just hanging out, zoning out, playing these games in the astral. And so it was not nearly as wonderful as some of the VR stuff I've been in, and like that, but still kind of fun, right? Like hanging out, playing a game. And I looked further on the screen, like trying to zone into it, trying to get more lucid, trying to like engage with the scenery and everything. And the images in the game were translucent. And this one thing, no matter how I moved the dials on this piece of equipment, kept falling over and like sometimes would stumble and sometimes would act kind of like a rubber man, bending all these different places and in weird ways. And so I was thinking about that after I woke up, actually. And there is this game called Human Fall Flat, I think is what it's called. Don't quote me. I'll have to look it up later. Human Fall Flat, and it's about trying to get around in this game, and there are all these obstacles. So I think that one was like that, and I was like, I'm not doing good at this. I don't know. And then I looked closer at this person, and at the same time, he looked like he was in his 30s, but also like a little boy. So I don't know if he was just in the astral having memories of his youth and trying to share them with somebody, like me. So anyway, it was kind of fun to try out the game. It's not a futuristic one. I don't think it's come into our real physical life, but it was fun. And I think I have the name of that game. It reminded me of like Close to Right. So I'm gonna look that up later. And then since I wasn't doing well, he didn't want me to get too frustrated and leave, which is a good thing in the astral, right? You want to prolong these experiences. So I was like, okay. And he was like, "Oh, let's try a different game." And the different game was just about like corridors, and you have to make just right turns and left turns and hide from some monster. I never saw the monster, but I saw the different rooms, and when I'd go in the different rooms, I tried to telepath like myself and see further into the room and to see what was in the room in the game, and it would be like just a black void or something, or a white void or a golden void. So there were different colors going on like blocks. But that was all this was really about. It was kind of reminded me of Pac-Man without Pac-Man, where the little monsters or like, all the hoo-ha and stuff. It was just corridors and rooms and turning corners and I guess it was a fun way to spend the rest of my night. Usually I try to do other stuff, but last night I really wasn't trying to go anywhere too special. It was an autonomous projection to begin with and then continued, and that's, great with me. When I'm really trying to go somewhere, I will try again. I will not stop. I am relentless, but when I'm resting and I have this autonomous stuff going on, I'll interact with it, I'll engage, I'll have my fun, and I'll help my friends, of course. So, that's what I have to share from last night. Thanks so much for tuning in again. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to, and, um, thank you.